How do you write a book and become a millionaire? How do you create great wealth just from writing a book, sitting down, enjoying your wine or whatever you drink or your kind of poison, and seeing money enter your bank account? How do you go about it? Why don't many people do it? We are going to talk about how to become a millionaire from authoring a book and publishing books. So the first tip that I'm going to give you is going to help you understand how you can go about it. The first thing is you need to know what you write about. Yes, what are you going to write about? Because you need to write about a topic that you are passionate about. Because when people read the things that you write, they can be able to get the passion that you already have. It doesn't make sense if you realize that people make money from writing fiction or books and you have no ounce of creativity and want to write those creative books. You should write what you know about, what you are passionate about. If you're a finance person, maybe it's a financial book. If you are a psychologist, maybe it is a self-help group. Basically write about a topic that you understand, you are passionate about, not just what you think is selling. The other thing that you need to do is understand your audience. Know when you are writing this book or when you're planning how to write this book, put yourself in the position of the potential person who is going to listen to you. For example, like for me, in my YouTube channel, no matter how many people come to this YouTube channel, I have come to realize that I have a specific people who mostly view my videos, or 60% or more of the viewership will be an African male of between 30 to 34 years of age. I have squared down my audience because those are the people who view my channel. And if you are a lady, please comment so that I know that you're also there. But that is the basic individual who comes to my channel. He's most likely going to be African, he's going to be male, and he's going to be between the age of 30 to 35. Those are the people that I resonate most with. So this is the person that when I do these videos, I should be able to speak to. So when in your journey of becoming an author, you need to understand who are you talking to. If you're going to write a romance novel, it is most likely going to be a single lady or an old lady who is unmarried, who is between the age of 25 to 35. That is going to be your audience if it is going to be a romantic book. So those are the kind of things that you need to understand. Who is your audience, so that you're able to place yourself not only as the author but as the person who is consuming this book, so that you can be able to, one, keep them engaged, keep them entertained, and keep them reading, because that is the person that you're speaking to. Sometimes when you focus on everyone, then you lose out on everyone. You might as well niche down to this person that you are speaking to, then be able to get much more individuals wanting to read it, so they can be able to understand the person of this caliber. So understand your audience. If you don't understand your audience, you can never write a book. So understand your audience, research about your audience, take time to be able to understand this person. What are their fears? What are the things that excite them? What are their concerns? What are the things around them? What are the things they aspire to have? So think about that person in your audience, the main person in your audience. Of course, the other thing you can be able to do that will be able to help you immensely is check out the competition. Who is selling out in the specific cadre of books that you want to write? Who is who? Check about around the people who are most likely like you. So if you're an African male, they're African male, and they're writing to an audience that you want to attract, and they're successful at it. Understand how do they go about it. Understand how do they market their books. Understand what do they do to be able to become good at what they do. Of course, the other thing that you need to do, of course, is to learn to write. Writing is not just about writing. You need to be able to learn, and there are several things you can be able to do. One is be able to arrange your text in a way that could be able to be, one, your text is understandable from start to end. That is a basic, so that somebody can be able to read and follow. You do not lose your audience as they read your book. A terrible book is a book that you read and get lost and forget about finishing that book. That is a terrible book. An exciting book is a book that you hold and can't stop reading. You have to keep your storyline in a way that somebody will be able to follow from start to finish. Then you can be able to learn how to be able to bring things that excite the author. Is it arranging what is the end from what is the start? Is it be able to give somebody a glimpse of the end, then starting the story in the second chapter at the beginning? How do you arrange? What is your stylistic device? And be able to ensure that you perfect it. So this might mean that you take writing classes. This might mean that you learn or read a lot more books to be able to at least not only look at the book from the content of the book, but also from the mind eye of the person who wrote that book. Understand how to write, know how to write. It is not as simple as people think about, because there are so many stylistic devices and so many authors come from different backgrounds. By being able to learn how to write, and not only how to write, but be able to keep your audience engaged through and through, how to be able to title your the beginning of the next chapter, how to be able to bring and introduce a specific theme and topic, how to create a hooker in the beginning of the book so that somebody can be able to keep trying to learn how does the book come to an end. You need to also learn how to be able to introduce this book, how you can be able to read interfaces about this book, how you can be able to do a short summary in the beginning to keep somebody excited. All these are things that you learn and you need to learn and you need to go about doing, and not just doing it but doing it well, because people buy your book first to read. If you are an unknown author, people don't know you, so you do not have fans. So people are not buying a book because George wrote it. People are buying a book because it is in a topic that they consider to be interesting. So that is the basic person who is going to buy your book. Then you're going to have those fans who buy a book just because they know George writes good books and this is bound to be a good book. Before it is written, a award-winning author at the back of your book, you have to be able to do a book without people knowing you, much like a ghostwriter, and be able to entertain them to a point where after reading the book, they want to know about the author. So that is how you're able to write a book and write a good book. Unfortunately, it is harder for an author who is unknown, and they have to work a lot harder at writing a really good book, a really good script, because they are unknown, than an author who is known. They can decide to be a little bit lazy just because there's bound to be a lot more people buying the book because of who they are, not what they have written in their book. So learn how to write, because it is extremely important before people start buying a book, because of who you are. Then the next thing you need to do is learn how to do a good cover. A good cover is as important as the makeup a woman puts on. This is because if they do a bad makeup, they look cheap, they look tattered, they look unkept, they look cheap, they look, because of that covering. And sometimes the cover is not about how many colors you do, just like makeup is not about how many types of makeup you have on your face, but how well presented it is. A cover can be able to give somebody a glimpse of the book that is within it. That is why a romantic book will always have somebody with cubes and a nice chiseled body, and a lady who looks like is in distress and wants to be rescued, because that is a romantic book. And look at all those covers, they are all about that. They have colors that are passionate and warm, so sunset colors like yellow and orange and red show the passion within the book. Books have covers to be able to introduce the people to what they're talking about, the topic of the book, the cover, pictures, everything speaks about the book. So you have to be very good with the book. If you are going to pay somebody to be able to do something in your book, let it be the cover, because the cover is what is going to keep people in. Think about it like this: it is like a supermarket. So a library is like a supermarket, or Amazon or Kindle or whatever is like a supermarket. People are glancing over every book that may come. Your book may come as a suggestion. So the idea is, these people who are wandering off, you need to get at least 10 seconds of their time. This is because it has been known statistically that when people view a book in a catalog of books for 10 seconds continuously, they are more than 50% likely to purchase it than people who have not glanced at this cover for more than 10 minutes. So ensure that your cover grabs their attention, keeps them engaged, and the text keep them reading, so that they can be able to buy your book and they can be able to sell your book. So if you have to pay somebody to be able to do it, this is the part that you have to do it. You would rather excite people, they buy the book, but it is not as exciting, but at least you have already gotten them to know about you and to learn about your book. So cover, if you have to pay somebody to do it, do it. Of course, the other thing you need to do is get people to read your book before you publish it. Read, reread, take all those comments, all those criticisms. I know as a new author, you are a lot more sensitive to what people talk about, but you need to learn to take criticism in stride. Look at all the corrections people make. Sometimes it's not even about grammatical mistakes. People might not even agree with how you have arranged a book. Certain things that they may be able to put, especially give your book to people that you plan to target. So if you're targeting men at the age of 30-35, let the people who review your book most be those men, because you're going to speak to that audience. So get as many people to read about your book, get as much criticism about your book, learn, relearn, rewrite, do it again. Think about themes that you may have introduced. If you have a character in your book, and that is something that you can be able to learn from the movies. If you have a character from the book, you need to get people to be excited about this character. So how do you start to introduce this character? Get people to be excited to know what happens with this character. So talk about that character and excite people about it in the beginning before you have to introduce all these other themes. One mistake that young authors do make is they bring so many themes in this book because they have so much content, and they become overzealous and they're too idealistic, because they're thinking, if I'm going to get people to buy this book for $10 or so, then I might as well make it worthwhile. So they bring all these themes and all these things, and becomes overwhelming in the time of developing this story. Simplify the story, excite people, and you'll be able to sell your book. And all these other ideas, you can be able to put them to be able to build up on the next books that you're going to write. So ensure that it is read, reread, reviewed. You have no rush to be able to finish the book. In fact, expert authors who write a book with all the ideas and everything write a book in 6 months. Sometimes they write in 6 months and it is reviewed for a whole year before they can be able to publish it. And if you're beginning this journey of authoring a book, you may have to write, rewrite, and do for at least 2 years or 3 years. Don't be in a rush, so that when you release a book, it is something that you yourself are also proud of. So be ready for all the times that you're going to have to work on it, rewrite it, review it. I know it is boring and tiresome, but it's something that has to be done. Then the other thing that you need to understand as a new author is to market your book. The simplest way you can be able to market a book is attend events. Speak at events that talk about the things that you talk about. If you're writing a finance book, go and talk to an audience about money. Volunteer your time to speak about a subject, so that when people are excited, they want to take something home about the author who talked about this particular subject. And that is where your book comes along. When they get out of that event hall, they see your book, they see the author, so they're excited about you, they're emotional about you because they just heard you. Then they buy your book, then you sign their book, you start selling your books. And once they buy the book, they're more likely to know people of the same class who are going to be excited about your content. They're more likely going to buy the same book for their friends later on when they're excited about that book. You start marketing. So attend events, speak at events, attend podcasts, talk about these things that you are passionate about, so that people can be able to follow you in your page. People can be able to follow you later and be able to get links to where they can be able to buy these books. Open a podcast, talk about it. For example, now with my YouTube channel, I can be able to write a financial book and get people like you to buy my book, because I already have an audience who likes things about finance, and can be able to sell that book to this audience. So you market, and you market. In fact, one of the best quotes on business that somebody taught me is, you sell or else, because you either sell or you perish. Businesses have to sell inventory. Businesses have to sell services. You either sell or you fail. So you sell, and sell. Sometimes you take time to be able to build up on that, and especially if you're writing a book that is what is called an evergreen book. So it's on a topic that is always exciting. It is a story that is always relevant. You will always make money, and sometimes you might not make a lot of money now, but incrementally over a period of time you can be able to make your million. You just have to be strategic in your marketing, strategic in your placement, and be able to write a wonderful book. I hope that you have learned something. If you have learned something, please leave a comment in the comment section. If you want to add something to what we have already talked about, leave it in the comment section. But otherwise, subscribe to the video, like this channel, and see you in the next video. My name is George King, your online finance guy.